We are back with another epic medieval showdown. This time we are taking a look at some of the brand new units for the Sudanese factions in the game that have recently been added. As well as that, we have a very large engagement about to unfold. 8,550 men on either side of the battlefield. So that should be super exciting. As you can see as well, I love the way, we'll actually go on slow-mo whilst we kind of run through the armies because it looks like the battle is already kicking off. But I love the way that one of the sides, or both sides, have kind of anchored their forces on the flank a little bit. So this should hopefully make for a really exciting engagement. I also really like the battlefield. It is just kind of covered in this awesome farmland, which definitely gives a medieval feel. I don't know if it's just me, but I definitely enjoy that. So let's take a look at the Sudanese factions, as they do have a hand. No, this is Kiev. This is not the Sudanese faction. Where are they? Are they in the middle? No, that's Milan. Or was I just looking at them? No, I think I was just looking at them right here, yeah? No, that's Flanders. Where the hell are they then? Okay, they're over on this far right flank. For a second I was like, are they in this battle? I'm pretty sure they are. So we can see on their front line they have some of this heavy Arab infantry. I believe this is what most of the Eastern factions do get, is kind of a similar infantry unit like this. Some of the infantry are in heavy armor, some are kind of more in leather padding and cloth armor, but still a pretty elite unit. We have some of the Sudanese archers right here with their longbows. Going to be obviously very expert bowmen, great hunters, and going to be deadly at range. As we continue to make our way over to the flank, we do have some of the Sudanese spearmen right here. And I love kind of the tribal Zulu-esque spears that they are wielding on the battlefield. And these like huge shields, I think they're really, really cool. As we continue to go down the battle line, we have some more of the Sudanese archers. We have some of the other spearmen as well. Right there. We then also have some swordsmen laying on the front line. There's some chainmail, but again, you kind of more of just like this overcoat more than anything else, which is going to be kind of covering and giving them a defensive protection. We do have some Sudanese heavy cavalry, so they have brought some pretty decent Eastern cavalry to the fight, but again, it does look a lot lighter than the heavy armor. So I think like kind of one of the strengths of this faction is definitely going to be the maneuverability of it. They do have some heavily armored, people in chainmail, but for the most part, a lot of these warriors are just kind of wielding kind of lighter overcoats more than anything else. And then obviously on the far flank we just have more infantry right there. Do we have anything else that maybe I've missed? I don't think so. I think we kind of got everything. We have a bodyguard back here as well. So the bodyguard is obviously going to be a lot more heavily armored than anything else. I love the nose guard right there as well on the helmets. They look awesome. So really cool stuff. So yeah, that's kind of the new units for the Sudanese faction. And as you can see, the battle is heating up. So on the red side, we have a force of Lorraine and we have a force of Flanders, I believe. Yeah, we got the Brotherhood of St. George, which is Flanders. And attacking them, we do have another Lorrainian force, supported by a force from Milan and then an army from Kiev. So it'll be fun to see. There's a lot of different cultures here, some Italian, some kind of Northern European, and then we also have some Eastern European forces as well. And again, I love the helmet on Kislev. Look at that helmet on the general. So goddamn awesome. So let's just get this bad boy started off. We'll obviously be keeping an eye on that far flank over there to see what the Sudanese faction can do. And as well as that, I'm really excited to see what this kind of anchored flank can do as well. I feel like I really like it when players try and kind of make these battles feel a bit more unique than just one long line. So it's really cool to see kind of just formations changing up and them trying to be a bit more creative than just having one long thin line. I'm definitely one for more denser battle lines than anything else, and I also, I'm a big fan of this, so definitely keep this up, guys. And obviously, before we do get started, I do want to give a massive shout out to all the guys who played in this battle and sent it in to me. I'm always looking for epic, large-scale replays like this of scenarios and custom maps and stuff, so yeah, massive shout out to the guys who played this. I really appreciate it, and keep them coming for sure. And if you guys want to see more battles like this, be sure to go ahead and drop a like and a comment on the video. It's the best way to let me know that you want to see more of these videos, and it's also a great way to let the guys who played this battle know that you want to see more of it as well. If they see these videos do really well, they're obviously more likely to play more of them and send them in to me. So, dropping a like and a comment helps the channel out and obviously gets you guys more content as well. So we got a nice little cavalry charge there, a bit aggressive by Milan, coming in from the centre, harassing some of the Flemish crossbowmen, and the cavalry is going to come back in from Lorraine. The knights are going to try and scare them off, and I think the Lorrainian cavalry might be going off into the center now and trying to catch the crossbowmen of Milan. However, their knights need to be very careful because obviously the Milanese cavalry right there can quite easily turn around, and the Italian cavalry is not to be messed with whatsoever. There we go, we've got the lances being broken off. How awesome would it be in like a Medieval 3 is if the lances like actually broke off and there was an epic animation for it. That would be so cool, because obviously this is a mod. There was no real lancer besides like a long spear. There was very little lancer like on like proper like jousting lancers like we have in the medieval period. So it'd be so dope if that, you know, like whenever we get a Medieval 3, if they have like animations for that type of stuff, that'd be so epic. That really would. So the Sudanese faction has pushed up, and I imagine their longbowmen are going to be doing a very good job in this kind of missile engagement. Obviously, they're very lightly armored, so the crossbowmen could probably pick them off if they get into range, but the kind of extra range that they have is probably going to be very effective. I'm interested to see how well they do against the Pavese crossbows. Obviously, these Pavese bowmen are very heavily armored, but I imagine they're very expensive because of that, right? Whereas the Sudanese bowmen are definitely going to be a lot cheaper than, say, their counterparts that they're going up against. So even if they kind of lose this engagement, it doesn't really matter too much because they've inflicted decent casualties on the front line. Oh, in the centre as well, we do have a cavalry charge up here by the Sudanese cavalry. The Arab horses moving in. And as I said, I think this is what their specialty will be, is kind of this skirmisher playthrough where they're just charging in back and forth into the enemy lines, catching off missiles. And the heavier knights just can't really go toe-to-toe with them because they're just not fast enough to do so. And as they're running away, they can throw javelins and just cause a lot of issues. Now, obviously, in a situation like this, now that the Milanese cavalry have caught them, they're screwed. There's no way that they're going to be able to hold off against them. But I think if you can avoid that, yeah, look at that, they just cut them down. I think if you can avoid that engagement, this cavalry will be very effective. And again, they'll be much cheaper than the heavy knights of Italy. So they inflicted some decent damage on this front line as well. So overall, not a bad little charge. The flank is being anchored a lot more now as well. And we do have some horse archers as well from Kislev, some heavy horse archers, which I think some of them are shooting. Yeah, some of these flanking units are kind of unleashing a volley here and there. I think this left one is yeah, volleying out. Horse archers are definitely underutilized in this game, I think. I think they can become very effective. It's normally because players end up setting a cavalry limit. So you don't normally want to bring horse archers just because you want heavy knights. However, I definitely think for a faction like Kislev, they're great because the Kislev horse archers double up as a heavy knight unit, which can do very well in melee as well. So, you know, it's like a perfect faction to really bring to the field. You can see some of the cavalry, the knights running away from the battlefield. Oh, we have a huge cavalry engagement on the right-hand side. We have the Sudanese heavy cavalry going up against some of the high period cavalry from Lorraine. They're obviously supported as well by some spearmen. And quite quickly, I imagine, yeah, we're getting lots of spearmen being pushed into the battle. Archer fire in the distance going overhead, harassing more of the archers, and spearmen coming over here. So it's going to be cool to see who kind of comes out on top of this engagement. Obviously, I don't think this is the super heavy variant knight unit that Lorraine has, but I'm sure the Sudanese will be able to hold their own for sure. And they've obviously got their own spearmen rushing to the battle as well to help aid out. And again, I think this is where they'll excel in these type of engagements, is kind of getting these lighter spearmen units to these cavalry engagements quicker. If anything, if you're playing as this faction, you kind of probably want to try and draw the enemy cavalry out, and then that way you can get your faster infantry to the battle a lot quicker. You also have some infantry being pushed in as well here on the flank. They are going up against some heavy knights, so I don't know how well they're going to kind of stand there, but you know, either way, they're moving in. And now we just get a really nice cavalry charge here, catching the infantry out in the open, not formed up, and you can see the cavalry is just cutting them down. A nice move there. We do have some spearmen looking to try and bog them down, which is a good strategy, but they annihilated an entire unit of unbraced infantry there, and the cavalry is going to come around and help out. However, they are losing this cavalry engagement. It's going to be an epic charge in the rear there as well. But for the most part, they are kind of losing a lot of these cavalrymen there. Just the sheer numbers coming in and just kind of bogging down. Yeah, you can see some of the cavalry being broken there. And I imagine it's only a matter of time. Then the knights, though, for Lorraine are going to get one last charge off on the archers before being silenced by the Sudanese bodyguard. Going in and probably finishing them off. So really nice moves there on both sides. The rest of the battlefield, we're having cavalry going back and forth. We're having a lot of missiles hammering at each other, but no real heavy melee engagements. This flank is really just going in, and both sides are committing a lot of men to it. And all this entire time, we do just have these archers firing away, so that's going to be pretty decent for them. But as you can see, the Sudanese forces are just using their fast-moving units to bog down the heavier knights. Then they've broken them. They're winning most of these cavalry engagements, right? You can see some of the dismounted cavalry there. The general unit for Lorraine needs to be very careful because he's obviously going to be a lot slower, and the Sudanese heavy cavalry is probably going to be able to catch him as he tries to withdraw from this engagement. I think for the most part he's going to get out, but as you can see, look at them, they're all getting caught, and they're going to take heavy casualties. Lorraine could just lose their general right here. Some heavy knights are moving in to try and support, and the archer fire is completely turned around and trained on this engagement. The Lorraine general was lucky to get out with his life right there. He really was. But for the most part, the Sudanese have managed to kind of win this fight against a heavier and superior force, just by using these numbers and the lighter infantry. I mean, again, like I do class them as being lighter than maybe more of the imperial troops of Europe. However, it's not like they're just like in robes. They do still have chainmail and, you know, padded coats and stuff. It's just, I think in a head-on fight, they end up losing a lot of these engagements, but they're using their numbers really effectively to cause some issues. And we are getting a heavy infantry engagement on the other far flank. We have the dismounted Flemish knights going up against the heavy infantry of Kislev. And it seems like Kislev have managed to surround the Flemish knights, but they've managed to actually break them, which is pretty impressive. The horse archers as well are unloading their shots still. Some heavy knights going at it right now. And this is one of another really good strong thing about Kislev, is that their archers are still very decent. These are basically just dismounted horse archers, so they're still just as good in melee combat. And now we're getting a pretty unnoticed charge. What are you doing? Keep on going. This brave cavalry moved up and it just needs to charge. Oh my god, that's such an unfortunate. I think he must have looked away for like a split second, and that allowed them to go ahead. And yeah, he comes back now, but man, he really missed his opportunity. I mean, he's still going to get a charge, but he's going to get counter-charged and bogged down. Oh, wow. That could have been so good to move in. And he does manage to get a nice rear charge, though, off into this swordman unit. That's going to help out. And he does also break a unit of Flemish militia. So overall, not too bad. The center is actually being pretty quiet right now. Just cavalry engagements and then a small detachment of Lorraine infantry going up against the Milanese with their apple-shaped shields. So this is kind of like a pretty safe front line. It's mainly just like missile skirmishing over there. If we go straight back over to the far left flank, we can see that the Sudanese are trying to break up, and now that the kind of the I guess shock infantry have kind of gone away, I feel like they're kind of getting a bit bogged down once again, but huge gaps are appearing, so they could like push through right here, but it seems like they're sitting back with their heavier Arab infantry, letting their flanks do some damage and just letting their archers shoot away, as they still have four units there engaging. But yeah, I think now that they've kind of been held in place and the scrappiness of the battle has started to dissipate, at least on this left flank, the Sudanese are now starting to struggle against the heavy knights of Europe, which is kind of to be expected. However, they are still breaking some of the other infantry, and I guess the archers are just coming in big. And I think now they're deciding to fall back. I think they're going to make their way back over to their allies, kind of using their speed again to kind of lead these guys down and help out the battle elsewhere, which is now really erupting into a hell of an engagement. The Milanese and the Lorrainian forces have clashed once again. I know it's a little bit weird because there's Lorraine on both sides. We can just imagine they're like two different counts or something, or dukes going up against one another. So the engagement has really kicked off. The cavalry has fully gone in right here. It seems like the Flanders general is also being committed to this fight in all his glorious coat of arms. I mean, he should be able to take on this unit of Kislev cavalry, even though they are pretty depleted as well. So he'll probably end up winning that. But, you know, they have also managed to surround 2v1 this unit of cavalry. And if they can get some of his infantry up here to support this, oh, it'd be so huge right now. Or maybe even just bring their Kislev general round as well. Because these guys are actually a Lancer cavalry unit as well. So they'd be so effective on the charge. They really, really would. And I mean, it'd be so effective to kill this general if they could just make round. Infantry-wise, though, it seems like both sides are pretty evenly matched. I think, yeah, I think Flanders are kind of struggling on this front line against the Kislev heavy infantry, but they're making great progress here. I mean, realistically, Kislev could just commit some of their infantry to hold this. Oh, one of the generals have gone down. Who? That was probably, yeah, Milan's general being killed, I think. Yeah, that was the Duke Howe being slain on the field by the Lorrainian forces. And that's going to kind of shock them. And obviously the crossbows are now going to be getting hit. The Italian pavese are going to be getting ripped apart by that cavalry charge. Brutal stuff. And I think that's going to end up breaking the Milanese if they're not careful. The Sudanese have now kind of formed up on this flank. And the forces of Lorraine as well are so far away that it's going to take forever for them to get over here to help support their allies. The general as well. Oh wow, this general is starting to lose as more infantry is now getting engaged. Yeah, Kislev are doing a great job here of engaging this force, and I think they're going to pin down the Count of Flanders as well. And that's going to once again cause some pretty... You can see the entire front line for Flanders being broken as Kislev now commit their heavy archers to the fight. And that's a mass rout on this flank where Axemen are charging forward. The Grand Axemen moving in to cut them down. And I think that's going to be the Flanders general being slain. No, it's not. That's going to be whose? The red, yeah, the enemy Lorraine general actually going down to crossbow fire, I think. Man, that is brutal. And Lorraine have been completely crushed. So, you know, even though the center is going pretty well and they've managed to kill, if we take a kind of bird's eye view of the battlefield, the center has kind of been broken, or is soon to be breaking, but, you know, it's only a matter of time until Lorraine come crushing in on this flank. It's only a matter of time until Kislev come around the flank and they completely envelop the attacking forces here. Yeah, I think it's, yeah, because very soon this infantry is going to come round, smash them. There's still some cavalry charges going off right there. Rear charges, the Sudanese bodyguard. They are also charging onto pikemen as well, which they, oh, actually, no, it's friendly pikemen, don't worry. I imagine Kislev are rushing around this flank now, and they have a lot of cavalry as well. That's kind of the main thing, is that they have some cavalry spare, which is going to be able to just kind of break through the front lines really effectively. And for the most part, even though the Milanese have lost their Ducal, they're still holding in this fight. Their front line isn't breaking apart, which is really important. And that, you know, Lorraine have been completely broken here against the Milanese forces. I think Flanders are even breaking, and yeah, it's not looking good for them. I think even though they put up a valiant fight and they were doing very well on multiple flanks, I think the heavy front line is just going to be holding the Italians, showing their discipline. There have been some gaps being created though, and it seems like some of the Lorrainian infantry breaking through and charging down the Pavese bowmen. We've got some heavy infantry as well charging in from Lorraine. God, it's so weird because Lorraine's on both sides. But I'm hoping you guys kind of know what I mean. And they're going to be charging in against the new units. They're even in shield wall as well, which looks very cool. And one of the things I love about 1212 is just like how varied the weapons are. You've got some axemen, you've got some dudes with like long swords, some with like the falcon. Is it the falcon sword? You know, some with maces, some with axes. It's just like the amount of assets they've created for this mod is just absolutely insane. And obviously once the campaign is completed, every faction, there's going to be like 66 unique factions with custom scripts. It's going to be mad, it really is. And the amount of time and effort that goes into each faction, I just can't like praise them enough. It is literally amazing. Probably going to be one of the most, if not like the greatest, most detailed mod. Like, I feel like, you know, for what they've done, it's going to like even challenge Medieval 3 whenever that comes out. And the heavy fighting, but I think, yeah, Kislev have now crushed round on the center flank, and that's going to be it for the battle, I think. Only 40 seconds left now, and there is no hope whatsoever. It's been a complete and utter victory, a slaughter, really. They have over half their army left, so really, once the battle started, it just crumbled, and then you can see so many of these men running from the field of battle, not having anything left. But I think for the most part, the new units added to the Sudanese are very decent, and you can use them really effectively. I think you just need to play a couple games with them to understand them, and then once you really get the hang of them, I think they can be such a devastating faction, because so many times it's like about the cavalry engagements in 12-12, much like it should be, with heavy knights ruling the day. So if you have a faction that can just move around and, you know, kind of get your spearmen there quicker and have more numbers and stuff, it'll be really, really impressive to see a good player on them. Not that these players aren't good, but, you know, like someone who's played quite a few battles with them, I think it'd be very, very effective. If you kind of, you know, you master the faction, you could just devastate the front lines. So as always, big shout out. These guys always send me in replays, and I really appreciate it. You'll see these guys in most of my replays. So yeah, big shout out to all of you guys. You are the real MVPs, and I really appreciate it. Taking a look at the kills, we'll start off with the Allied Lorraine force right here. And really coming out on top is going to be his crossbows, to getting over 100 kills apiece. Over on Kiev, sorry, we do have, yeah, look at his bowman. He brought so many bowmen to the battle, but that's kind of Kislev's strength, right? Is his bowman, and 3 of them were horse archers, even though they had the same picture. And his front line just held, and his axemen getting over 200 kills as well. Finally, we're taking a look at Milan, and again, the Milanese cavalry is going to be really, really strong, and the front line is just going to hold. Over on the other side of things, the enemy Lorraine force, his cavalry over 100 kills, which is pretty good. The Sudanese, yeah, who got the most kills here? 200 kills on the Knights. The Archers doing not as good as I thought they would. I thought the Archers would do good. And for the most part, it's just the cavalry racking up a decent amount of kills. And then finally, for the forces of Flanders, man, his crossbows did like nothing in this battle. It was mainly just his dismounted count's retinue, which really got stuck in. And as you can see, look at that. Like, they each have like a large portion of their army left remaining, where it's only really Lorraine which have, you know, half of their army remaining. They just kind of got smashed because they were up against everything that was left. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this battle. If you did, be sure to drop a like and a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.